lifestyle. Success is a lifestyle. Being magnetic is not something you're born with, it's something you learn. Your aura, your confidence, your energy, and your radiance are what makes people gravitate towards you, even in a room full of people. It was never about fitting in or being the loudest in the room. If you want to get what you want, there's one universal truth that you can never escape from, and that is to be your best self. I'm sure you heard this a million times, but you have to drill it in your head. Let me say this again. You have to be so magnetic that people are drawn to you in a way that they'll give you everything you ever want and more. Let's be honest, you are not your best self until you love and appreciate every aspect of yourself, and that includes how you look and present yourself in public. It's not about your makeup skills, but it's about how well you take care of yourself, which is a strong indicator of self respect. Let's get right into it. Pretty privilege exists. I know that's shallow, but looking good improves the way you see yourself and how others treat you. Let's be real, being pretty opens doors for you whether you like it or not. Don't get me wrong, you can be pretty on the outside but ugly on the inside. However, people treat you based on their first impression of you, which is the way you look. I hate to break it to you, but the moment you invest in your appearance, you'll notice that people are more willing to go out of their way to help you and give you opportunities that they probably wouldn't give you if you don't look like you actually put effort into your appearance. Just like how you wouldn't go to a networking event in your hoodie and sweatpants expecting to be treated like a queen. You can get angry all you want, but that's the reality of this world. As much as we know how unfair the system is, smart magnetic women don't play fair. They play to win. When you look good, people treat you better, but are also kind of intimidated by you at the same time. Trust me, when they are intimidated by you, they tend to respect you a little more, so they will be on their best behavior as they don't want to risk losing you. This is how you get what you want without begging for it. Just so you know, magnetic women don't compete with anyone. They only compete with themselves as they hold themselves to higher standards. Come on, it's 2026. You don't get what you want by competing with other women. You can be soft, feminine, kind, loving, but your boundaries must be firm. That's the beauty of feminine energy. You don't play mind games or expect anyone to read your mind. You make your demands known unapologetically and remove people or things that don't align with what you want. Let's be real, once you do all of the above, you're only at the starting point. This is basic common sense, and I'm tired of hearing people explain things I already know. 90% of the content out there talks about visualization, journaling, positive affirmations, vision boards, practicing gratitude, and so on. Though I agree that you can be consistent in all of that and succeed, that's not the most effective way to get what you want. Honestly, did you know that most vision boards fail before they even start? The number one mistake is you are creating from a place of lack instead of abundance. When your vision board is filled with, I don't have this yet energy, it blocks your ability to attract the things you want because you're trying to fix your life rather than being in a state of flow. Let me teach you my secret to getting what I want. If you truly want to get what you want, you have to first understand the psychology of human behavior before coming up with a strategy to increase your chance of success. When you're looking for favors and opportunities in life, it often comes from other people, also known as benefactors in the Chinese culture. Look, the point is, you need to be able to connect with them and empathize with them in a way that's genuine and relatable. You'll be surprised that people often show you what they care about just by you asking the right questions. You realize that people naturally respect you more and like you more when you're genuinely curious about them and you're holding space for them to express themselves. In fact, people see you differently when you actually listen to what they share and notice the little things. Let's say that they have a food allergy to seafood and you remember it by heart. The next time you meet them for dinner at a restaurant, you know what to look out for and it shows sincerity. Once you do that, I can assure you that they'll be more likely to help you by giving you special favors or opportunities. Being sincere is such a magnetic trait, but unfortunately, it's so underrated these days. Also, what most people don't understand is there will be times when you may disagree with what people say, and you may be tempted to interrupt them by objecting or correcting their views, which I highly don't recommend because you're dismissing their experience. Here's what you should do instead. Before you provide a second perspective, you can learn to validate their feelings by saying things like, I understand why you feel that way. By mirroring back what you heard, it makes people feel seen and valued. Trust me, there aren't many good listeners in this world anymore, and you'll be surprised that people often invest in you because of how you make them feel. Let's be real. Assumption is everything. Based on first impression, people notice the light in your eyes, the calm in your presence, the stability in your voice, and the clarity in your thoughts. The truth is, knowing exactly when to listen and when to speak with clarity is a reflection of your wisdom. This is strategic silence. The less people know about you, the better. People will assume that you've got your life under control and you're not someone that's easily manipulated. Trust me, the illusion matters more than reality. The moment you speak within the first few seconds, you'll be surprised that people have formed a perception of you. If their perception of you is someone who is smart, intelligent, kind, and positive, always seeing the best in everything, it actually makes you incredibly magnetic. And that gives you power. The power to ask for favors, the power to negotiate your offers, and the power to influence people. Let me say this again. Your presence is an asset and you can turn your mindset into your biggest ally. If you want the right people to come to you or be attracted to you, you need to possess the qualities that people want to learn from. It's never really about what you bring to the table, but rather becoming the best version of yourself that inspire them to want to get to know you. Everyone wants to be around someone who feels good about themselves because that energy is contagious. If you want influence, you need to be influential enough for people to notice you. And no, I'm not saying that you have to be famous in order to be recognized in public. Honestly, you don't have to be a celebrity to do that. But let's be real. No one is actually interested in you unless you carry something of value or something that nourishes their soul. It can be your expertise, your wisdom, your knowledge, your discipline, or your optimistic outlook in life. First of all, you don't want to come up too strong like a salesperson. Over promoting yourself often backfires because it makes you seem less competent and unfortunately not so likable. Think about it. People with real talent or skills don't need the external validation to prove their value and would much rather focus on producing results, which often speaks for itself. Most of the time, it's about how you position yourself in a way that let people think it's their idea. If you have a calm, stable presence, people naturally assume that you're confident, even if you're not, because you're not acting desperate, like you're trying to hard sell something. It's the same analogy as if you spend your time chasing butterflies, they'll simply fly away. But if you spend your time creating a beautiful garden, they'll come to you. Instead of asking why anyone isn't paying attention to you or giving you what you want, learn to look inward. Nurture your mindset and work on what you're lacking internally. It can be learning how to reframe negative self talk to more positive ones, or learning how to respond thoughtfully to situations instead of reacting impulsively based on emotions. And that brings me to my next point. Be playful. Do things with no goal in mind. Chill, relax, laugh a little, and have fun. It's not a task or assignment that has a deadline. Honestly, stop taking things so seriously. If you don't know where to start, perhaps you can try teasing your friends or family and have fun in the process of doing so. Besides, what did you like to do as a child? Personally, I wish we could still play hide and seek as adults. Other than that, you can take yourself out on solo dates, check out new cafes, explore your city, talk to new people. Even though I'm an INFJ, I can be very receptive to that fun, playful energy when I'm out meeting new people, and it gives me connections that I never knew I needed. What I'm trying to say is, whenever you do something just for fun or out of curiosity, your chances of getting what you want are huge. You are the embodiment of that playful, light-hearted, joyful energy. Because of that, you don't ever let yourself think that if I don't succeed in life, my life is over. Or I'll never be happy again. You also don't focus on all the things that can go wrong because a playful attitude has a built in mentality for happiness and positive expectations. Speaking of that, my secret weapon to getting what I want is my happy go lucky attitude towards life. And here's how it works. I don't dwell on misery for a long period of time, and I don't victimize myself either. Because of that, I tend to see the best in everything despite how my current reality looks like. I may be struggling right now, but no one knows because I'm not a fan of pity party and you shouldn't be. Also, I'm not afraid to ask for help or favors from others. It can be a minor inconvenience like picking me up at the airport after my midnight flight, which, by the way, I know that not everyone is keen to do that, but I still ask anyway. Look, there's nothing wrong with being rejected as long as you don't take it personally. If you don't know where to start, perhaps try making small specific requests at the restaurant you're dining in. Let's say that you love garlic, but you have always been very shy to request for more. As you're ordering food from the waiter, you can simply ask, "Can I have extra garlic, please?" Honestly, it's not that difficult, but you'll be surprised that some people feel it's a burden to request for small things like this because you have to trouble someone else to do it. But the problem is, if you don't learn to request for small things, how do you start requesting for bigger things? Regardless of where you are and what you're doing right now, start speaking up for your needs, your wants, and your preferences. Don't expect anyone to read your mind or anticipate your needs when you have clearly not voiced it out. Trust me, it's life changing. That's how I always get what I want. Mind you, I've been through so much shit that I just see everything as a blessing in disguise. If things work out exactly the way I want it to be, that's great. But if it doesn't, I shall gladly accept it as wisdom. You have to understand that there's no point in going against the flow of life. When there's a lack of acceptance in life, it will only cause more friction between you and your current reality. In other words, you're simply torturing yourself mentally over and over again because you can't accept the outcome for what it is. And here's the thing, victim mentality will do nothing for you just because you went through shit. By the way, life doesn't owe you anything. It's a blessing in itself. If you truly want to get what you want, you need to master the art of communication by speaking from a place of identity, not desire. Because you don't want to give people an option to reject you. Here's an example. If you want to hire someone to work for you at an interview, you don't ask them, "Do you want to work with me?" Instead, you say, "You're the perfect match for this role. When can you start?" By doing so, you are framing it as a shared goal. You also speak with clarity and certainty in a way that draws people in. Don't make yourself feel small, especially in a room full of people. The key is to own the space and only speak when it's necessary. It's not your responsibility to fill the gaps. When you don't rush to respond, it shows that you're comfortable with silence and people will be intrigued by you because it's a rare skill. By the way, silence is terrifying to insecure people. Once you get the hang of it, you realize that people decide in a split second whether they want to listen to you in that very moment and give you what you want. The truth is, you don't have to try so hard. Your body language will speak for itself. Imagine this for a second. The moment I walk into a networking event with rounded shoulders and a hunchback like this, do you think anyone will listen to me? No, they couldn't be bothered to entertain me because it's giving insecure and uncertainty. Also, I can't really project my voice because I'm shrinking in that posture. Everyone will assume that I'm either anxious, nervous, or unsure of myself, and that's not a good look. But when your spine is upright with your chest and shoulders wide open, it signals confidence and certainty. The reason why most people lean into certainty is because it feels safe for their nervous system. On top of that, people tend to pick up on non-verbal cues really fast to assess your credibility. Basically, they judge you based on the way you present yourself. So when you present yourself in a way that people actually believe you, they will not hesitate to trust you, even if you're a shitty person with no principles. They just assume that you're a highly credible and reliable person because of the way you present yourself in public. When you have gained their trust and loyalty, you can easily gain favors or opportunities from them without making it seem like one. By the way, I'm not recommending you to be an asshole because people will avoid you like a plague once they find out who you really are. Here's a gentle reminder that when you truly love yourself, you glow from the inside out, and as a result, you're incredibly magnetic. You naturally attract like minded people who love, respect, and appreciate your energy. When you start feeling worthy, valuable, and deserving of receiving the best that life has to offer, you are in perfect alignment to attract what you want. Thank you for watching and click to subscribe if you enjoyed my content. Bye!